thank you to the panelists for joining us today. So the topic of this panel today is investing in the energy transition to accelerate decarbonization. And clearly, energy transition is a very relevant topic for both sort of sustainability, decarbonization, climate change goals. Also important for Europe in terms of achieving independence and sovereignty from an energy point of view. But achieving this energy transition also presents challenges and opportunities. And that is the topics that we would like to discuss with you today. So, maybe to begin, by addressing, for this energy transition, I wanted to ask Sylvia, who heads the unit dedicated to innovation, corporate venturing at, Redella, formerly known as Red Eléctrica de España, the electricity transport operator. From your perspective, what do you believe are the main sort of technological and business challenges that need to be overcome to achieve this energy transition?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this amazing panel. And I think everybody knows that energy transition is a huge endeavor, that it will need the high amount effort of the private and public collaboration, investment, and so on. So I would like to point out the 5 main trends in technology regarding energy transition. First of all, integration of renewable energy to meet the target of energy transition, to meet the path. For example, here we are talking about solutions for secure operations and the energy system. Here we are talking regarding AI, flexibility, service provider, energy storage, for example. In the second place, I think it's important to mention the cost-effective deployment of new infrastructure for energy, for the integration of the renewable energy. Here we are talking, for example, regarding new materials. We are working and launching some projects, pilot projects regarding the on and the offshore. So new materials, new device in the equipment, energy storage also. In the third place, I would like to mention the advanced asset management. Can you imagine we are a company with a huge amount of assets distributed in different geographies, so it's so important to make it better available, to maximize the use, to make the lifespan of the assets longer, and to optimize finally and make efficiency their processes. Here we are working with digital twins. We are working with IoT, we are working with big data, we are working with analyze. In the fourth place is very important cybersecurity. Cybersecurity regarding the digital and the communication for the energy services. And finally, I think electricity, everybody knows, is the most proven vector to introduce renewable, but it couldn't be the only one. So regarding the new vector to introduce the renewable in the grid, for example, hydrogen, I would think it will be the 5 technological trends in energy transition.
Great, thank you. So I wanted to ask Fernando, from the point of view of Enagas, that is is in the gas business. You've launched an initiative with you both have an initiative internally, and also have a fund that is, I believe, an initiative with an external party. Mm-hmm. How do you see the role of the corporation working from the inside and with third parties or even private entrepreneurs to invest in energy transition and achieve your innovation goals?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting us. I mean, first of all, I would like to say that, to share with you that if we talk about energy transition, we have to say that we are today in a very, very important situation that is going to be happen only in 2 or 3 centuries. The necessity of new technologies that are needed in order to comply with the challenge of the climate change are so huge that all the innovation forces that we can add in order to work together for achieve this challenge is going to be enough to do that. Because some estimation, we need still to develop 50% of the technologies that are needed for accomplish with the climate change. And we are thinking that probably if we apply the same standard that we are doing in the traditional innovation in other places such as in a digital ecosystem, probably we will not succeed. So we think that when we talk about energy, we are going to talk about huge investment, and we are talking about the necessity to scale up very fast the financial investment in the different startups. So because of this, Alberto, we firmly believe that cooperation between the different parts of the ecosystem are absolutely needed in this point. And for sure, corporations has a very important role to play. We have today, of course, energy companies. We have today the financial resource that is good, but it's not only the most important thing. We have the capacity to pilot the different technology. We have the capacity to put the different startups in contact with the different players of the energy sector. And we have the capacity to accelerate with our internal capacities of the management and technicians. So if we can join forces in a good way, we can achieve this huge challenge. In that sense, I mean, we are working in three levels. One level is entrepreneurship. So we are trying to develop our internal capacities and our internal knowledge in order to develop a new venture in the energy transition. So this is one part. So far, we have created 8 ventures in Enagas Emprende, related with different fields of innovation, such as green hydrogen, biomethane, and digitalization. Also, we have a direct investment tool in startups, in a traditional corporate venture capital. So far, we have invested in 8 startups, 50 millions. And also, because we think that we need to join forces in order to put money and to put resources in order to scale up the different startups, we have created and we have invested in 2 funds. One fund is jointly we created with Alantra, which is called Clima. It's a fund of 150 millions. So we provide 30 millions to this fund. And it's a venture capital fund dedicated for growth companies in startups. So we are investing our corporate venture tool in seed capital. We have the fund for growth companies. And additionally to this, the third element that we have is so-called venture infrastructure fund. So it's a mix between venture and infrastructure fund. So it's dedicated. It's going to be probably today is the biggest fund for green hydrogen in the world. So it's a fund that today is 1.5 billion, and is dedicated to develop the infrastructure. Once you have the technology, once you have all the pilot, you have to deploy massively in the different sector and different countries. So we are going to use this tool of investment in order to invest in SPVs, to invest in projects where the technology of the startups, where the capacity of the corporation is going to be together with this financial tool in order to make the transition possible.
Excellent. Thank you. So within energy transition, I want to move on to a different topic that is in the realm of what Commerce Ventures does. So I understand, Lawrence, that you guys at Commerce Ventures focus on Fintech in general as a firm, but you've begun investing into climate Fintech.
Exactly.
Can you tell us a little bit about the kind of opportunities that you seek to exploit there in climate Fintech, and maybe also describe one or two sort of success stories in this space?
Absolutely, happy to. So first of all, thanks for having me, right? And we are a venture capital fund based in Frankfurt, Germany. We have 550 million assets under management, and we directly invested into Fintech, as you mentioned. We focus Series A and B mainly across Europe, but also Israel and the US, right? We started in 2014 with a focus on Fintech only, but as you mentioned, we shifted our focus to also add climate Fintech to our focus. And this is mainly because, as pointed out, we have a massive challenge in front of us to decarbonize our economies, our infrastructures, and essentially it touches everything, right? It touches energy, logistics, our industrial supply chains, right? And we believe that financial services, or especially Fintech, has a crucial role to play here because essentially you have to channel an enormous amount of investment and capital to get going, right? To get started. And so this is the first narrow definition of climate Fintech. But then what we also see is that we have a lot of companies starting to build products to actively decarbonize our economies. And just to give a bunch of examples, we have companies that are building software solutions for carbon accounting for enterprises. We have carbon taxation, carbon trading schemes. We have the huge topic of ESG, right? ESG touches everything, and there are fines paid out right now if you're not ESG compliant, or all of that stuff, right? You have data analytics solutions that underpin all of this and make it possible. You have climate risk management. It touches insurance, right? And insurance is also a part we focus on at Commerce Ventures. So that is to say, climate Fintech is the intersection of finance and climate tech, and it's an area that we are actively deploying money in because we essentially believe that societies in our lives will change dramatically, right? And this will create massive opportunities to build very valuable businesses in the future. And this is why we'd like to invest in that, right? Because we are investors, as you mentioned. We look to find founder teams that are building in this space and build the next super valuable businesses because it is needed, it is urgently needed, right? But it's also a great investment space, I think.
Great. Can you discuss maybe one or two sort of success stories because it's an emerging...
It is.
Would you call this an established sector, or is this like a niche?
It is not an established, but a super rapidly growing space, right? It started recently, and I mean, to give you some perspective, right? Last year, we published a report on climate Fintech because we look at it a lot. And we identified 300 companies in the US and Europe that are in what we call climate Fintech. And essentially, last year, they had a breakthrough year. They raised 1.2 billion in venture capital funding. And to put this in perspective, this is 3 times more than all previous years combined. So we have a very, very strong momentum in that space. It is just the beginning, right? It is very, very nascent, but it will be huge in the future. That's what we believe. And what's also very cool from my perspective, because I'm European, right? We have the lead here. We are ahead of the US. Usually it's the other way around when it comes to investments and venture capital and all of that. But in climate Fintech, or in climate tech especially, what we found, there are more companies in Europe that are being founded and created, and in 2021, more money was deployed. So I think it's a huge opportunity for Europe to play the lead here. And as I said, it's the beginning, but it will grow massively. I'm convinced of that. And second question, some examples, right? So we invested, for example, in a company called Duconomy. Duconomy is based in Stockholm, Sweden, and essentially what they are doing is they're taking bank account data and payment data to calculate the carbon footprint on a transaction level. So for each and every transaction that you do, you get the equivalent of the carbon emissions. And what Duconomy then does is it packages this solution in a software development kit and distributes it to banks, fintechs, software as a service companies, so they can use the product and build it into their own product. It is super interesting, and customers, for example, include Klarna, BNP Paribas, and lots of other banks out there are deploying it right now. It's a very interesting company. They raised 19 million in venture capital. We co-led their Series A round last year. Citi Ventures participated, MasterCard. And interestingly, the venture capital arm of IKEA participated as well, maybe supporting, supporting Sweden, but super interesting, and it shows that there's huge interest, right? Yeah, and one more point, the CEO, Matthias, he's here. He'll be speaking tomorrow, so check out his talk. He's a great guy, and it will be super interesting.
Excellent. So let me come back to you, Sylvia, again. And following up on the comment by Lawrence about the role that Europe can play in energy transition. I think, indeed, the ecosystem has been developing, very rapidly and very well, but we have followed the U.S. In energy transition, maybe there's a chance to skip ahead and lead the globe in innovation. You think that in Europe we have, for example, the necessary sort of regulatory policy sort of support for this to happen really in Europe?
I'm truly convinced that Europe and even Spain has a unique opportunity to lead the energy transition and decarbonization, the change of paradigm in the economic model regarding the energy transition. We will see in the last years there are a lot of mechanisms, there are a lot of programs for joining the public and private collaboration. I think this is moving a lot of not only investment, a lot of projects. So I think Europe is setting up and Spain also the whole programs necessary for pushing more. We'll see in the last year a lot of programs like NextTech, for example, here in Spain, that helps to investment the corporates, the funds to scale up companies that are really good here in Spain and in Europe also. Recently, in Agas, and we have a meeting with the European Commission regarding how they can help the corporate venture capital that we are pushing, because they are aware that the corporate are very necessary in that point, because corporation make the validation of technology. We made proof of concept. So moreover, the investment we help. So I think always is needed more help. But the program and the whole framework, I think, is working to make it possible that Europe will be lead the energy transition that is needed.
Okay, great. I'm also hopeful that we can, and optimistic that we can. Fernando, you have been sort of involved with some of your portfolio companies, and also through the external work with sort of fundraising and for both the fund and your companies. What do you see as the appetite from LPs? What are the kinds of opportunities that you think that they are seeking in corporate funds or external funds or in companies?
Now, for sure, to invest in energy transition today is a trend. It's clear. I don't know if in a very short term could be a bubble, but I mean today is a trend. and it's a good trend. So in the funds that we launched, the fundraising was, let's say, easy, in terms that there are a lot of appetites to invest in energy transition. The thing here is that I insist that it's not only a question of money. So for me, my main concern is that in order to make the different startups growth, it's not only a question to have a good team, not only to have a question to have a good technology and money. It's a question to have a good market approach in terms of regulation, as you said before. I am not so optimistic like Silvia and you in that sense. So the regulation is something that is needed. I would say that probably we have to innovate in regulation in the same level that we have to innovate in the technologies. So to be innovative in regulation is absolutely needed in order to make the deployment of the technology in the speed or with the speed that is needed. This is one point. And the second point is that is very important, is that in some point, I mean, we have to use the tools of venture building. So the cooperation between the different energy companies together around a good startup and together around a good investor is something that is going to be needed. And it's something that, in that sense, I am more optimistic than with regulation. So just to share with you some facts, this week is not all the weeks we close to operation, but this week, I don't know because it's summit or not, but it's something that we're going to do this week. We're going to close a deal in order to give the entry in one of our venture building startup in the field of green hydrogen. We're going to give the entry to the first industrial player in Spain in order to industrialize and to grow the technology of this startup. So it's something that for sure is going to help to create probably the first green hydrogen factory in Spain with a specific Spanish technology. And the second operation that we are going to close this week is around the battery wall. And also it's a venture building, it's a venture building between three corporations with the participation of the government and with the participation of a scientific center with a specific technology in the field of solid-state batteries.